Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sara Prowse. I'm the Chief Exec of Hotter Shoes. For those of you not familiar with Hotter, I'll just very quickly take you through the brand because I will be drawing on it from an example point of view. So Hotter Shoes is a casual footwear brand targeting the 50-plus female. We design and manufacture in the UK in our factory up in Lancashire. And we make over 2 million pairs of shoes a year, which makes us the largest shoemaker in the UK. We have a multi-channel platform, so we have 80 stores. We have 3 websites, which get around about 14 million visits a year, and we dispatch to 165 countries from our .com site. We also have 150 wholesale accounts. Most of those are UK, but some of them are on an international basis. And then we send out 13 million catalogs globally. So that's Hotter Shoes, and I would love to stand up here and talk more about the brand and more about shoes. But we're actually here this afternoon to talk about a seamless omni-channel customer experience and how you should go about delivering it. So I'm going to give you a little taster, a couple of facts, and then we're going to break out into the groups to discuss this in a little bit more detail. So first of all, I thought it was important to start with what do we mean by omnichannel? So omnichannel is a multi-channel approach to marketing, selling, and service, which allows for an integrated, and integrated is the key word, seamless and friction-free experience for the customer, however they touch your brand. Now, multi-channel, omni-channel. What's the difference? People talk about them often in the same context, but there is a subtle difference. Both of them transact with customers across multi-channels, and in both physical and the digital channels. The key difference is omni-channel has a joined-up customer experience, which is integrated and friction-free. Multi-channel, the channels tend to operate in silos from each other, and you can get a very different experience in one channel to another. But within the omni-channel platform, the customer is absolutely at the heart of the channel strategy, and the customer will experience a consistent experience across the channels and allowing her to dip in and out of the different channels. So a couple of facts just for consideration. The first is that 89% of consumers think we're not doing a good enough job, which is quite sobering really, and good job you're in this discussion group. A good fact is that omni-channel customers spend more. So between 50 and 300% more. Now at Hotter, we have 18% of our customer base is what we call omni-channel. So they shop across multiple channels, and they spend 5 times more at Hotter. So there's real value for the retailer and the brand in encouraging and developing the omni-channel customer. Their retention rates are also typically higher, between 80 and 90% higher. And again, I can attest to that within the Hotter brand, where we see trade rates 3 times higher than a single channel customer. Interestingly, about half of all customers ordering online think they should be able to pick up in store or in a physical kiosk. From Hotter's perspective, our click and collect is now 10% of our business, and it's our fastest growing channel. It's 25% up year on year. It's not just about multi-channels now, it's also about multi-use. So consumers are actually shopping with several channels at one time. And you can see from this picture up behind me, they're actually starting to integrate the digital world into the physical world for us. And the final fact I just wanted to share is that almost a third of us are still using last click attribution in terms of understanding our marketing effectiveness. What about first click? What about middle click? It's really important to understand the full attribution journey and that decision journey so that you can understand the effectiveness of your marketing. And particularly that upper click is quite often the importance of brand. So it's really important that you get sight to how your brand is driving traffic to your business. So there's no two ways about it. The consumer expectation for a great, seamless, integrated experience that is friction-free is absolutely soon going to become the norm. The customer is demanding it. That's what they want. And you remember from that first slide, 89% of them think we're not doing a good enough job in this space. So who is doing it well? I'll just show you a couple of brands. Disney. We all know the Disney experience. If you have ever interacted with Disney, you get bucket loads of the Disney experience, however you interact with them, and all of their channels join up in a seamless way. Another brand, REI, an outdoor brand, doing this really well in terms of integrating seamlessly across a number of different multi-channels. And the last one is Virgin Atlantic. Again, they do a great job at owning that customer experience wherever you are, whether you're in a kiosk, in the airport, or whether you're on their app, or whether you're actually on the flight. And again, it's a seamless experience to the customer. So what do most of us need to start doing better? Well, the first thing is to understand the difference between omni and multi and recognize where you are on that journey. Now, sadly, Hotter is still a multi-channel brand. We know that. We have a roadmap to get to be an omni-channel. And the biggest block we have at the moment is a technology block where we are operating off of old legacy systems. And we're replacing that next year, and that will start to allow us to harness some of the benefits of omni. The second step is much harder. And this is really about a cultural shift in thinking in your organization that puts the customer absolutely at the heart of your channel strategy and encourages a culture of friction-free. But it's not just about technology and joining up the dots and the data in all of the background to make that happen. It's also about brand, creative, tone of voice, and human interaction. And what I think is where technology and human interaction, where you find that balance between those two things, that's where you get true connections with your customers. Now, the challenge for us is that balance point is going to be very different to every customer. Some customers will want a fully automated, technological interaction with you. Other customers will absolutely want that human interaction. So the balance is going to be very different, and that's our challenge as retailers, to create a platform, an infrastructure, marketing strategies, service strategies that allow our consumers to go up and down that scale between technology and human interaction. So that's it from me. Hopefully I've given you a few food for thought moments. We're going to break out now to discuss the topics. Coming up are a number of questions. So what are customer expectations in an increasingly omni-channel market? How close are retailers to meeting the consumer's expectations? What key strategies offer you the best ROI when approaching a seamless experience? And how do you decide how much to invest in each channel? And then finally, how should you design your teams so that you can deliver the omni experience of the future? So what I would ask you to do, if you're on a table with one or two, if you move to a table where there are more people to get more dialogue going, and in the interest of time, I would pick two of these to discuss on your table so you can get some good debate going on two of them, and then we will encourage some feedback and debate at the end. Okay, so it's over to you to debate. Thank you.
Hi there. So in answer to the first question, we have written faster, better, consistent, contextual, personalized service. That's what we need to offer customers.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with all of those. The only one I would perhaps add to that is friction-free. So taking the bumps out of the customer journey so she has the smoothest possible journey. But otherwise, that's a great set of words.
Thank you. Any other insights? Anyone want to share? Come on, guys. Come on, be bold.
Yeah, hi. We thought about the last question in terms of how to design the team.
Yeah.
And came to a pretty simple conclusion that to be omnichannel, we needed to design the team around the customer rather than the channel.
Yeah, and I would agree with that because the omni-channel model puts the customer absolutely at the heart of the channel strategy. So therefore, the organizational design should come off the back of the customer at the center. So yeah.
Okay.
Hi, so just around kind of how you decide how much to invest in each channel. You mentioned kind of like a multi-click, which click to favor, but there'll be certain channels that are just better at getting clicks than other channels. How would you suggest kind of going and making sure that each channel is being invested in based on the value it adds to a customer rather than its ability potentially just to get a click?
Yeah. So I think when you're looking at your marketing mix, there's different reasons for each channel within marketing. And for me, upper funnel or brand is super important for driving brand awareness. And so that absolutely has its purpose, and it isn't necessarily just about driving clicks. But then if you're in more of a trading tactical mode, then you are about driving clicks. So I think you need to determine the reason for each of the elements within your marketing mix and use that as well as the attribution model.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you rather than an answer to one of the group discussions. So earlier you mentioned that your omni-channel customers are worth 5 times more to your business than customers who use only one of the channels. Yeah. How do you get more omni-channel customers?
And that's the $50 million question. I think you get more omni-channel customers by improving the customer experience so that customers can easily interact between the two different, all the different channels. So for us today, because we've got some legacy technology issues, our channels are actually quite siloed. So it's quite difficult for our customers to shop across the channels because we don't have one view of the customer and we don't have one view of inventory. So it actually makes it quite difficult for us to service an omni-channel customer. So I think by improving that technology so that you can see one view of the customer and one view of inventory, immediately you take friction out of the journey, and therefore you should attract more customers to shop across the different channels.
Okay. And on this side, thank you.
Yeah, just further to that last question, because that's also where we started. I guess the question for me is, if an omni-channel customer shops more, is that because they're an omni-channel customer or because they shop more?
I think it's because they are your more loyal customers. And that's why they are shopping with you across the different channels, particularly with us when actually we don't have a seamless journey. It is quite difficult for them to do that. So I think the more you can encourage customers to shop into different channels, the more they develop loyalty with your brand. And the more you get loyalty, the more your spend will go up and the more your retention rates will go up.
So actually, you're looking for loyalty rather than omni-channel shopping?
Well, the two are inextricably linked. Yeah.
Okay. Any more? I've got one for you, Sarah.
Oh, okay.
Thinking about your brand and thinking about maybe an older profile or a more mixed profile of customer who probably has a high level of service needs, shall we say, fit and so on and so forth. but is less maybe technologically savvy as others. How are you looking at facing that kind of dilemma of a customer that actually needs more omnichannel, but actually maybe not as adoptive as other audiences?
So I think that's a great question, and there's a couple of answers involved in that question. So within our business, we see a very different age profile across the channels. So catalogue and contact centre, she is older, and she is less likely to shop into the other omni-channels. Out in retail and on the web, we see a younger consumer, and the difference is about 20 years between the two. And it's retail and online where we're starting to see a lot more omni behavior starting to develop. So, you know, for example, 10% of our mix is now click and collect. So she's shopping online, but she wants to go out in store to collect it. But one of the things that we're trying to develop with our strategy is that balance that I was talking about between human interaction and technology, because then it's absolutely the customer's choice whether they want a self-serve, automated experience, or actually they might be right over at the other end of the spectrum where they absolutely want the human touch. And they don't want, you know, online or tablet or anything. They want to come into a store and have a real physical customer service model. So I think it's developing that strategy so you've got the ability to flex based on the customer's wants and needs.
Excellent. Cool. Any more?
Okay.
Just one here.
It's me again, sorry.
That's okay.
So some channels are better for some things than others.
Yep.
So how do you deal with a channel that's, say, like Instagram, that's very good for brand engagement, but maybe not so good for service?
So for us within our brand, we tend to use social for brand building and for engagement. So within our social channels, it is much more about telling the brand story and content driven and creating communities within the different social channels. We don't tend to sell through our social channels because we see it as an extension of the brand story. So that's how we're treating it Hotter.
Okay. One at the back.
Are we doing
Got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, me again. How does the role
behind
of
the
shop
camera.
staff evolve in an omni-channel world?
How does the what, sorry?
The role of shop staff.
So I think stores have an incredibly important part to play. Within your stores, that's the physical expression of your brand. So you cannot create that same, you cannot bring your brand to life in the same way that you can in a physical environment. And what we're trying to do is link the stores more to the web. So having the ability for our store staff to shop the entire collection with the customer. So we don't put all of our inventory into all of our stores because obviously, you know, we'd have inventory problems. But with the web, we can actually bring our whole collection into store. And then there's a number of other ways where you can sort of bring the technology and the website into the store. But I think retail, for me, has an incredibly important part to play in the Omni mix because it is that physical expression of your brand, where you can really create the theatre and bring the brand to life.
Okay. One last one.
Just thinking of the, you mentioned you've got loads of legacy systems, and how do you assess that you've got 18% of your customers that are omni-channel at the moment?
So our heritage is mail order, and for those of you that know mail order, it's a very data-rich environment, and we know everything about our customers. We've actually got too much data, not enough insight. So we've partnered with a data science provider, a company called Multiuse, to help us identify our omni-channel customers and help to identify who we should send a catalogue, who we shouldn't send a catalogue to, who we should send an email to. And so we're working with them, but they've sucked all the data from our legacy system, even though it's in these silos, and they really helped us to crunch it and turn it into intelligent insight. So that's what we've done to get over that problem of old legacy systems.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Can you put your hands together? Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sarah Prowse.
You're welcome.